Mmm. Mmm. That is so good, and I feel so calm and serene. Hello everyone, I'm going to make you a recipe from my new novel, To Lahore with Love. Now the premise of the novel is that the protagonist, Addie Mayford, believes that certain foods can create certain outcomes, and actually I think there's a certain amount of truth to that. Everyone's heard of chicken soup. So what I'm going to make you today is Serenity Flatbreads. The reason why these are such a good idea in these troubling times is that we're all so stressed and so anxious with coronavirus, and it could be that a Serenity Flatbread may give you a certain amount of calm and peace, which is exactly what we all need right now. Okay, it's very easy to make. So what you do is you start off with some flour. Now, plain flour is best, of not self-raising flour, and I like wholemeal, but you can use white flour. There's no particular requirement. My favourite flour, just so that you know, is a Waitrose Canadian very strong stone ground wholemeal bread flour. It makes a very delicious Serenity Flatbread, otherwise known as paratha. Okay, so begin with a bowl and you put some flour in. Now, one thing that is probably going to be a bit surprising for some people is you don't really need to measure. You can, and if you want measurements, the measurements are in the recipe, which is featured at the beginning of each chapter in the book. So you have got measurements if you need. But the reality is, for anyone that's made a dough, it's not difficult. You just pour the water in and then you stir it around until it starts to knit together into a dough. And you'll see that slowly the flour comes together into a dough. It's very like pastry or bread making, but you've literally used nothing but a bit of flour and a bit of water. And that's what I mean about how much you want to make is up to you. I make these for a family of 4, and you know, they really, really are loved. So I've got no problem in making quite a lot, but you might want to make less. And so you just carry on like this, as you can see what I'm doing. It's not very hard. It's actually quite good fun. It's very cathartic, kneading dough. So we're nearly there, as you can see. Now, what I like to do at this stage is to actually take it out of the bowl. There's no need to take it out of the bowl, but it gives you a bit of an indication. So here is my flour, and I'm going to put it here. You don't need the water anymore. So here, this is the dough. And look how beautiful it is. It's so easy to work with. It doesn't get too sticky like white flour can. And it's extremely healthy because it's wholemeal and it's stone ground. Now, you don't need to do too much of this because you can see that it's literally ready to make. Now, the next thing you need to do is switch on a tawa. Now, this is what we call a tawa. It doesn't actually have to be a tawa. It can be of any sort of frying pan, and it all works just as well. You do need it at quite a hot heat, so I'm going to switch it on and let that heat up, because it won't work if it isn't quite a hot pan. And so what you do then is, while that's heating up, you take a little bit of the flour, as you would with pastry, to help you. I like to just put a little bit on here so it doesn't get too sticky. You take a little portion, this much. It isn't very much, as you can see, and then you just make a little round ball like this. It's like Play-Doh. There. And the size of it is entirely up to you. There is no requirement for any particular size. And then I tend to press it out right like this because it helps quite a lot. But keep it as round as you can. Now comes the fun part. Now the reality is, no one's judging you. It doesn't matter what shape it becomes. It doesn't matter how it looks because it's going to taste just as good. So you roll it out, taking a rolling pin. There we go. Okay, no difficulties here. And at this point, it really doesn't matter what the shape is because you're just rolling it out in any sort of flat shape like this, so that you can place ingredients in here. Then the next thing you need is some butter. And you don't need a lot of it. And if it's soft, it is helpful. You just take a little bit and then you spread it. This is like playing really in some ways. It's enormously good fun. And those of you with a real sweet tooth, you can even put a bit of sugar in here too. I personally like to take the maple syrup and put it on top, and it infuses into the butter and the crispy paratha, and it's divine, delicious. Definitely capable of giving you serenity and calm. So here, as you can see, there's no rule, there's no means by which you have to do this. It's just a sort of rough spread of butter, and in case you can't see that, I'll do a close-up. It's literally that simple. Now, another fun bit, you make a package. So what you do here, fold one side, fold the other side, fold it like this. Now, there are choices on this. You can do a twirly snake-like roll, or you can do a square package. Today, I have chosen a square package. Okay. So, here we are. The next thing you do, always making sure you've got enough flour so that it doesn't stick on the surface. So sprinkle a bit more out, and then what you do is you roll it out. And don't worry about the shape again. No one's judging this. You're not on MasterChef. This is just about making something beautiful and comforting and delicious that you might just need in these very difficult, troubled times. So I'm making quite a good square here. I'm quite impressed. Look, mine are normally the weirdest shapes, but they're just as delicious. Okay, so there we go. There, I think we're there. So we have this square, and as you can see, it's just like this. The next thing you do is that you cook it. And as I've mentioned earlier, this tawa or flat pan, which could be a frying pan, it doesn't matter, is now quite hot. So let's place it on there to cook. So as you can see, it's now cooking on the hot plate, and then I'm going to turn it. Actually, it doesn't have to be too hot. You can turn it down. It's just that if it isn't hot enough, it doesn't cook very well. Now there's some more magic to add. What you do at this stage is you add a little bit of oil. Now I'm using olive oil. You just pour it on top, not too much, just a little bit. Can you see there? When I'm not filming, I'd probably put a bit more on, but I don't want to encourage you to make things that are too fatty. You don't need that much oil, but again, it is a matter of taste. Put a tiny bit more on. Okay, right, we're nearly there. Can you see how it's beginning to brown? And what happens is, because of the way we put butter inside, and folded it up. It has layers that become crispy. There, can you see this? Oh, that's looking nice. So, can you see how lovely and crispy it's getting? So delicious. You wait till you try this. You will not believe how gorgeous it is. There are two essential little elements: butter and maple syrup, which I will show you in a minute. But it's that quick. Look at the golden crispy. Right, here we go. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. Okay. Make sure it's fully cooked. I'm a real fan of crispy. Right. And everyone in the family will be fighting for this. Right, okay. So what I need next is a plate. That is your paratha, your Serenity Flatbread, nearly ready, but just wait for this. I'm going to switch off the hob now. Thank you. Take a plate. Place this on here. Now this is the part that I love the best. You get a knob of butter, however much you like. I mean, I like a fair bit of butter. Now remember, this is still really hot, so it starts to melt, okay? So you can see that's melting. Then, and this is my favorite part, the butter has melted on the paratha, which is actually quite crispy and stiff. You take this up, you open this up, pour a bit of maple syrup onto the center. Now, wait till you hear this. Can you hear the crisp? Can you hear this? Amazing. Now what I love to do is dip it in. You can then That is so good, and I feel so calm and serene.